Welcome to episode 69 of the Lovoni and Sarah podcast. Each week we discuss holistic approaches to weight loss and well-being as we work at improving our own health and wellness. We share our stories and what we've learnt through research and experience in the hopes we encourage others to improve their health too. We're so happy you're here. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lovoni.
And I'm Sarah. And we all know exercise is good for us, but do you know how good? From boosting your mood to improving your sex life, regular exercise can change your life. On today's episode, we're discussing the benefits of exercise, how to start exercising if you don't have a set routine, ways to incorporate more movement into your day, finding exercises you enjoy that suits your fitness level, and what's the optimal time we need to exercise. But before we kick off, let's check in on last week's challenge and goal, which was reducing the too much from our lives one part at a time. Lovoni, how did you get on?
Well, my goal was to work on my recipes that I want to put on my website, social media,
Yes.
YouTube. And, because I have so many choices of things I like to cook, things, that I want to put out there, I found it overwhelming and I'd constantly change my mind, which then gave me that whole choice paralysis that
And
we
just didn't
talked
do
about.
anything.
So I just didn't do anything, or I'd do something and I'd think, oh, that's just not good enough because I'm just so critical of myself and my work. Anyway, so nothing has happened. So after last week's episode, I sat down with a pen and paper and wrote down what it was I want to achieve. And I just think it had to fit in whatever recipes I did, whatever content I put out had to also then fit in with my goals.
Right.
So, because otherwise what's the point?
Yeah.
So, excuse me. I thought I was going to sneeze.
Okay.
So this is what I came up with. Well, it was pretty easy, really. I wanted to do some home stuff too and some, garden stuff because we grow our own
Yeah.
veggies. And then, I like doing some crafts, not lots. I didn't, don't want to make it everything, but
No.
primarily it's going to be about food. Okay. So I decided that there would be a bit of that, with but it's basically going to be food and home stuff. So, and I want people to see my weight loss transformation throughout it instead of always waiting
Mm-hmm.
till I've lost the weight to do it. So, this is what my recipe is going to be. They're going to be simple, approachable, and rustic because that's sort of food I like to eat and that's how I like to cook. I'm not
Yep.
a faffing about kind of person. Um, if possible, I would like to make them no more than 10 ingredients.
Right.
Because, sometimes a curry, if you're doing a curry from scratch, there might be a whole long list of spices. But
Yeah. But
generally,
other than that, yeah.
yeah. Now, to some people, 10 ingredients might sound like a lot, but it's not. You make a cake, you've got
Oh
10
gosh, no.
ingredients.
Yeah.
Yeah. So around there anyway. I don't want people to look and think, holy shit, I don't want to make that because there's too many
Too
ingredients.
much. Mm-hmm.
Fresh ingredients using lots of herbs. So there's a cake that I want to put out there because I think, you can still be dieting and eat a piece of cake every
Mm-hmm.
now and then. Not dieting, but, working on your weight loss transformation,
Weight loss. Yeah.
I should say, that has peaches and raspberries in it. So, there's still that fresh
Fruit.
component.
Mm-hmm.
I want it in keeping with, what we've talked about, especially recently with that simple, slow living
Mm-hmm.
kind of, lifestyle. Of course, it has to be about things that I like to cook and eat because I think it's hard to promote something, or I don't think that you're being truthful to people with your content if it's not
So
something that
keeping it real. Mm-hmm.
keeping it
Yeah.
real and wholesome and mostly homemade. So they still are quite vague, but at
So
least
these
it
are your
gave me some
goals, and then
guideline.
how much?
They're my guidelines for the recipes.
So
Yeah.
that, and how much did that? How did that feed into the not too much thing? Just the fact that it's cleared your mind on what you're
It's
going to be
cleared my
doing,
mind because I just
right?
had too much
Okay. Decision making, like all going
of
on.
decision making. So I've just pared it down and written, just some guidelines, for want
Yeah.
of a better word,
And does that
to
make you
get rid
feel
of the
like
too
you've
much.
got something to refer to now, so you
Oh,
feel a little bit calmer? Yeah.
yeah, it did. It made me feel a lot better. I mean,
Okay, that's
some
good.
people might just look at that and think, well, that's pretty broad, but no. So
It's
every time
it
I do
doesn't
a
matter, it's what you
recipe,
want it to be, yeah.
right, I'm like, okay, does it fit into that? And,
Yeah.
if not, then
If it
okay,
doesn't
then
fit in
just
that
don't do
remit,
it.
then not doing it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What about you? What was,
Good, actually. I've, 2 kind of approaches or 2 things I've been working on. The first one is I've been really curating, because we liked that word, or
yeah, no,
culling my
yeah.
my daily list. So my daily to-do list was always
Oh,
ridiculous, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
always got it all done because I either went 100 miles an hour or worked too long or worked, just like till I felt exhausted. So I've been making a much more sensible daily to-do list and just
Okay.
accepting that it may not be getting done today, but I will do it
But
tomorrow.
you're
And I
not
don't
superwoman.
yeah, I'm not pushing it off the list completely. And it's been a lot calmer.
Prioritizing.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
calmer that way. So that's my first thing that I've done to do with too much. The other thing I had was I was giving way too much of a fuck about everything. In as
Right?
far as I was giving too many fucks about what people think, the way that I thought I was having to make it perfect, all of the things we've talked about before, the
Mm-hmm.
fact that I had fear. So I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So I'm or
Right.
so
Because it's not
I
going to be
had
perfect.
yeah, or what are people going to think? I'm going to look an idiot, or I don't like the way I look, or what if it's not as good as everybody else's? All of those things, which I know that everybody has. I had too many fucks. That's what I had.
Right.
Well,
And
not
you
quite
know what?
literally,
Sorry to
but yeah, just
interrupt,
like, yeah.
but you did that video the other day. Sarah
There
did
you
a
are. You
video
see,
for her business, Dragonfly and Blossom. And I saw it and I'm like, that is awesome. She had her puppies in there. She threw herself back on the couch outside. It was beautiful. It was such a great video. And
and
that's you not giving a fuck.
that
See
was
what
one of those
happens?
results. Exactly
Yeah.
that, because
That was
I
so good.
one of the first few thoughts that went in my head was like, oh God, do I really want to get behind the camera? And, and I know that it looks nicer out there, but there's a hole in the fence. I just thought, do you know what? This is my life. And I'm
Yeah.
so sick of being ashamed of it being what I think everyone else expects
Not
it to be.
perfect.
Not perfect. And I went, it's
Right.
damn perfect for me, and that is enough.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's my second section of working to this too much. It's not, yeah, having not too many fucks given about everything else. I
That
just
is
thought
so good.
it's and
I
it's
think if we could all live by that, really.
it's really really changed things. Really, I met with a
It's
friend and she's like, "God, you look like you're sort of glowing." I went, because I suddenly decided that the
I
person
don't
you're
give
going
a
to meet
fuck.
today is who this is just me. You know what? And it
Right.
may be that
Mhm.
I'm not a size 10, and it might be that, whatever, all of these things that you could list off. You're like,
Right.
and so yes, I think it's been quite a I'm still work to be done, and there'll still be those conversations to
Uh-huh.
have with myself, but yeah, who I am
Well
and just good
done.
enough is good enough. So
Yeah, yeah. No, well
watch this
done.
space.
Watch
um
this space.
there might be like
Ah,
scary things happening.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
So let's talk
that's
about
but it's good.
exercise. It's one of your favorite
I
things,
liked that.
Lovoni,
It
isn't
is
it?
one of my favorite topics. My husband told me last night I was a little bit of an anomaly because most people don't like to exercise. Now, I may not look like I have the body of somebody that likes to exercise, but I do really enjoy it. And I think I enjoy it because I know how I enjoy the feeling I have afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think I said to him, "Why do you think that so many people are adverse to exercising, or they just think, oh, it's another job to do?" And I said, "I don't understand. I don't understand that."
Mm.
And he said he thinks it's because we live in a world of instant gratification. You go
Mm.
and buy something, you get something for it. You
Mm-hmm.
go to a card machine, a cash machine, you get money out. It's just everything is
Mm-hmm.
just like there. Whereas exercise, you don't exercise once and go, oh God, there we go. Whew, the body that I've
It's
always
done. Yeah.
wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But and he said he thinks maybe that's why. But I mean, I often think it's just a mindset of people that it's almost like a dirty word,
Well, ask me the question. Go on,
exercise.
ask me. Why do I
I
not
know
like
the answer.
exercising?
Well, no, but it was a truthful answer when we were
I'm
talking about it earlier. Okay, why don't you like
Because I'm
exercising,
really
Sarah?
lazy when it comes
But
to
see, you're
comes to
not
I'm not,
lazy
but when
though.
it comes to exercise, the feeling of dread comes over me and just think, "Oh my God, I'm so lazy." Except I'm not because I'm on the
No,
go all the
you're one of the
time.
least laziest people that I know.
However, when it comes to that section, or that sort of area of my life, I'm like that, oh, and time. Time is the other thing. I feel that dedicating that hour or half an hour or whatever, I'm just like, but I've got all these other things that I would rather be doing or have to do, whichever. And so I don't consciously always go, I'm not doing it, but it drops to the bottom of my list. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it in a minute. And
Right,
then you suddenly think, oh, well, now it's 10 o'clock at night. I'm not doing it now, am I? So
right.
that's kind of, so that's how I get to, and I'm sure that happens to other people as well. I'm sure that it's a double-edged thing. Sometimes they just think they can't be bothered, and other times they think there's something else more
They don't
important
have
to be
time.
done, and that's not true.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
interesting when you were just talking though there, and you at the top of what you were just saying, Livoni, you were saying about the fact you don't look like someone that you exercise. I'm going to challenge you on that because actually I think this is something we all need to change the way we think about. You can be a really, really fit person and be an overweight person. The two things don't
Right.
have to be hand in hand. And I think we can get
Right.
really, really judgmental. You
Mhm.
exercise a lot. You said that your strength is really building, and
Mhm.
your husband noticed that when you were sort of doing things the other day, and he noticed how strong,
He was helping me with the
helping you.
exercise for
Yes, just
my
to be clear.
yes. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, just to be
but
clear.
and I think that we should stop being so judgmental, a bit like we were saying
Mhm.
about giving too many fucks about different things and it stops you getting there. I think
Right.
start changing that voice in your own head
Mindset.
and for other
Mhm.
people's of just,
Oh,
you know,
I'm
you,
terrible at
it's
that.
really awful, isn't it? And I think it
Mhm.
puts people off as well because they fear about the way that they're going to look when they go into the gym, or fear if they want to go for a run and go, well,
Mhm.
I'm going to look ridiculous because I'm overweight and I'll be a hot, sweaty mess. And there was a big a light bulb moment for me because I always thought the fact I look so hot and sweaty and ridiculous when I'm exercising. And then I looked around me, and even the really, really fit, slim people are really hot and sweaty as well. And I was like, oh, that's how you're
Right.
supposed to look when you're exercising. I had embarrassment around it because I just
Right.
thought it's because I'm so overweight and so unfit. That's not it at all. It
Mm.
it heats your body up and you burn, excess energy. And so for anybody that's doing it,
Yeah.
now I might get to look like that quicker than someone else because I am not fit and I am overweight. However, the end result is exactly the same, and we should remove that stigma
Yeah.
around it because
I
it's a
don't care
natural
what I look
thing.
like when I exercise.
No. Well, I think that if
Ramsey
people go
doesn't
to a
care
public gym,
because
people
I
feel,
exercise at home most
yeah,
of the time.
exactly. But that's what I mean. If
Oh,
people go to a
yeah.
public gym, they have a
Especially when
real,
you're starting out.
not
It
knowing what you're
should
doing and all that
just
sort of stuff.
take Sarah's not give a fuck.
Yeah, just
Because
do it
really,
anyway.
what anybody thinks of you, I've said this before, is their business.
Yeah,
And you're there for you, not them. So who cares? And if somebody wants to be an asshole, let them.
yeah.
That's on them. So yeah. But exercise has many benefits for
Go
those
on
that,
then.
oh gosh, well, there's just so many. One of them, and you mentioned it in the intro, is improving your sex life. Now, I don't mean to sound like a 12-year-old child,
But you're going to anyway.
but I'm going to anyway, because before we started recording, I said to Sarah, it hasn't passed by me that the exercise episode just happens to be
Episode
episode
69.
69. I said, sorry. I know that's childish, but anyway. But one of the benefits from exercise is that it can improve your sex life because it does give you more energy and you feel more confident.
Mhm,
So that's one thing. The biggest thing, I think, the reason why people do it, why they want to do it, is for weight loss. But really, it needs to be about health because,
mhm,
well, let's start with the weight loss part of it. So you exercise, right? Whether it's 5 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, whatever. So, you're going to burn anything from depends how long you do it and what you're doing, 50 calories to maybe 500-600 calories.
Mhm.
Your main, and I don't want people not to exercise because of this, but your main calorie burning during the day is all the other stuff that you
Mhm.
do.
Just
Hanging the clothes on the
movement.
line,
Yeah.
taking the dog for a walk. I get in the pool. When I let Ramsey out, I pull weeds out of the garden. I hit the tether ball around. It's all the other movement that you do. If you're painting, these are obviously just not sitting because you need
Mhm.
to move. So it's a lot of that type of thing too, parking the car a bit further and getting some extra steps in, walking up the steps instead of taking the lift, the elevator. Those little things that you don't think really mean much because you're not sweating it out in the gym for an hour, they do, and they
Mhm.
add up, and they add up to a lot more than a quick workout does.
It does, but
But
there's a difference between that and your heart health, isn't there? And that's the
yeah,
difference.
yeah,
Mhm.
because you want to get your heart rate up a bit
Mhm.
and it's good to know um, what you want to stay around. A lot of people don't have a monitor, but if you do, it's good to know that. The equipment that I use, and if you're at a gym, most of them you can put your hands on and then they
Mhm.
do take your heart rate. So it's always good to see a doctor before you start. But I
Absolutely.
think that's also a thing that if you haven't been exercising, don't just go, okay, I'm going to join a gym and I'm going to go every day
100 miles
for
an
an
hour.
hour.
Yeah.
I mean, the best way to do it is just to start small. And it's a story. This is a story that I heard on a podcast, and I think I might have told it before. And I don't know if you've heard it, Sarah, but as a personal trainer had a very, very overweight client, a male client.
Yeah, I remember
And
you
all
saying,
he
yeah.
got him to do was drive to the gym every day
Mhm.
or however many days a week. He just drove to the gym. He didn't actually go inside. He didn't do anything. And he did that for like weeks. So it was just the whole thing of getting up, putting your workout clothes on and going there. And then eventually they started going inside and started doing little bit,
Mhm.
right? And just to get into that whole routine. And this is another thing for people that want to start doing exercise or maybe ramp up their exercise or something or just be more consistent with it. It works best when it's done at the same time every day, which isn't always
Mhm.
something that you can do, depends on your schedule. But I find I'm a morning exerciser because once
Mhm.
I've done it, I no longer have to think about it. And the days that I don't do it in the morning, it's there taking up space and energy in
Mhm.
my brain. So I started by not even giving myself a time. I'd just be like, I'm going to go and work out.
Mhm.
And I'd never said I'm going to go and work out for 45 minutes. I just said I was going to work out.
Yeah.
And I did. And I do, bike and weights and treadmill and rowing machine till I hurt my back. But and then I'd be like, wow, 45
Yeah.
minutes has passed. Whereas if I said to myself that's how long I was going to do it for, I'd be like, oh
Seems
God,
daunting,
how
doesn't
far
it?
into it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or I'd just keep checking how far into it I'd got rather than just getting into it. Because
Mhm.
I find music is my greatest
Yeah.
motivator when I do it. And or a podcast or something.
Mhm.
When I'm on the bike, sometimes I play a game, which I'm not very good at when I'm riding, but I don't care. It
Yeah.
passes the time. Look out the window and I'm trying to be in the moment with it
Mhm.
rather than thinking, oh my God, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. Because I think, like you were saying, a lot of people they feel like they don't have time. But
Yeah.
I think people need to just make time, rearrange your schedule.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. I'm sorry, with
Yeah.
people when they say that they don't have time or they don't like being hot or it's too hot or whatever. Put your big girl panties on, you know,
Just go do it. But I think
and just go and
sometimes
do
you
it.
paint a picture of, you think exercise has to be the gym, for example, or it has to be
Right.
running. And actually, what I sort of looked through was the different definitions of the types of exercise that
Mm-hmm.
you can label it. So, there's moderate, there's vigorous, very vigorous, and then there's strength training. So the sort of the 4 different categories. And I was like, you know what, this is
Mm-hmm.
quite interesting. So moderate exercise, they've listed just as some examples, as a brisk walk or riding a
Mm-hmm.
bike or some dancing or even pushing a lawnmower for quite some time,
Right.
because
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
I
a good
get very
workout.
hot and sweaty when I'm doing that. Vigorous,
Dancing is great.
it
That's
is great.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vigorous, which would mean you should be out of breath, would be
Right.
running, swimming, riding uphill rather than just a sort of
Mm-hmm.
a flat ride, football, aerobics, you know, where you're really raising that heartbeat that extra
Mm-hmm.
bit. And then very vigorous would be sort of circuit training, spin class. I mean, they all sound like absolute hideous to me. I'm like, absolutely not. But and then strength training. Actually, this was quite interesting. So strength training, as we would imagine, lifting weights, but also it included yoga and body weight exercises in that,
Mm-hmm.
because actually, you know, the control of your muscles, the strength that you're building up from doing that. So within that remit of just a touch of examples, because it certainly was an extensive list, there will be something in all of those different things that people could find something that they like the most, even if they're not going to be someone like you that says, I actually enjoy it, although you may
Right.
learn to. There'll be something that you could tolerate more than something else. Now, a brisk walk for me,
Pickleball.
yeah, I don't enjoy brisk walking. Some other people might, whereas I'd much rather go for a bike ride, whereas other people might hate that.
Mm.
So it's just picking things that you think, actually,
Like.
of those, I would rather do that. And then, as
Mm-hmm.
you say, build up your time, because I also then looked at, I don't know what if you've got recommendations of how much you actually should be doing. I wonder if it's different from the UK to the
Oh, it's
US.
probably
But
about the same.
what I found was it was recommending strength training twice a week. Is that similar to you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
3 times, 2, 3 times. And I
yeah,
think we need to be doing it more, especially when you get to 50.
a bit
But anyway,
older.
go on.
Yeah, it helps you with your bone strength, isn't it? And
Oh, yeah.
then
Yeah. So important.
for exercise itself, it was saying about 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous. I was like, wow, that's way more than I actually thought. 150 of moderate exercise
150 minutes a week,
a
or is that
week,
just,
a week.
oh, okay. So
So
what's
what's
that?
that? Two
That's
and a half
30.
hours, isn't it? Is it?
So is that 30 minutes 5 times a week? No, wait,
It must be, isn't it?
that's
Because
more.
60 minutes would be 2 hours. So it's 2.5 hours a week. Yeah. So that's 5 sessions of half an hour.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think yes to when you go on, but don't necessarily think when you start out you need
No.
to do that.
Hmm.
You need to do that. I was talking before about, some of the health benefits: anxiety, depression,
Yes.
type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure. It can help all of those. And it
Hmm.
doesn't have to be crazy. Just me riding my bike when I was first after my surgeries.
Hmm.
Um, when I first started doing that, that had a difference on my blood pressure.
Yeah. Really?
So, yeah. Yeah. And for type 2 diabetes. And if somebody, how you hear people, you eat a meal and then you can go for a walk.
Yeah.
And, I know there's cultures that do it. Some people
Hmm.
do it, maybe after Thanksgiving or whatever.
Christmas walk. Yeah.
Um, yeah. But if you eat something when you have your lunch, say, and if you can go for just a 10-minute walk, what it does, because when you eat, obviously blood sugars go up,
Yeah.
but what the walking does is help to stabilize that. So
Okay.
if when you've had lunch, for example, just even 10 minutes, if you want to go for more, knock yourself out, right?
Yeah.
But if you can just put a walk in there or a bike ride,
Hmm.
that can help a lot
Yeah.
as well. Um, Exercising improves the mood. That's my thing.
Hmm.
That's why I enjoy it so much, I think, because I focus on that and how I feel afterwards. I just feel so much better. And just from a stress point of view, I think I don't know, you just feel good. You feel like it's got the
I
blood
feel
flowing.
more sassy when I've exercised. Do you know what
Right,
I mean?
yeah.
You feel a little
Yeah,
bit like you've got a little bit of a like spring in your step
right.
afterwards. That's how I feel. I don't know if necessarily my mood as such changes, but I definitely feel a little bit more, yeah, a little bit more sassier
Upbeat.
with that sort of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Don't you feel like too though that because I do quite a bit of weight training because I like it.
Mhm.
And I know that people, when they get up to around 50 and older,
Mhm.
I th they really need to focus on
Yeah.
that. And I think more than twice a week, definitely.
Mhm.
I probably do that about 5 days a week. I mean, it's not like crazy bodybuilding stuff.
No.
I do more reps with
Mhm.
what I think is a bit lesser weight, but I had a friend over the other day that tried to use them. She's like, "Good grief."
Oh, really?
Yeah. She doesn't exercise though. But, oh, shoot, what was I gonna say? I don't know, something about I don't know, I just feel elevated. Um, it does help with anxiety and depression,
Mhm. Mhm.
especially walking. Did you hear, and maybe people out there have heard this as well, there was 2 people talking on a podcast, and a man and a woman, and the woman said she didn't consider walking exercise. And the man's like, "Oh, yeah," and, like, total agreeing with her because, they considered exercise just slamming it out for a couple of hours in a gym. I thought,
Right.
"God, I hope people that want to lose weight or, get
Mhm.
healthier don't listen to that and think, 'Oh, what's the point?'" Because I think walking is one of the best if you can stand it. It was hard for me with my knees, which is why I found biking a
Yeah.
lot better. But if you can walk, I mean, it's free. You don't need any
Exactly.
special equipment, just a pair of shoes,
Yeah.
and away you go. I
Mhm.
mean, and you can just do it for a little while or,
I think
longer.
there's a difference between general movement, which I'm very good at. So my general movement is high. It's
Mhm.
up there because I move around a lot. However, I think there should be this dedicated time where you actually push yourself a little. Now, that
Yes.
still could be walking, but not just my general. So I generally always hit my 10,000 steps a day.
Right.
But I think if for walking to count, I would need to go for a dedicated walk, which I don't tend to
Mhm.
do that much.
Like a p
But
and quite brisk.
brisk, maybe get a bit
But you
hot,
can
maybe a bit
walk
out
up
of
to that.
breath, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It
And
should be
then
where it's hard to hold a conversation with
yes,
somebody.
not
You
just a
get a
leisurely
breathy.
dawdle sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's the
yeah.
difference. Movement is good because you also need that. Like you were saying,
Mhm.
that's where you burn, substantial amount of your calories. And
But having dedicated exercise
that's the
time
bit, isn't
is
it? And I think
imperative.
that's where for the two things to sort of get my heart rate up and get a bit sweaty so that
Mhm.
my heart health is then benefiting, and then some strength training so that my
Mhm.
bones then are benefiting, my muscles, my overall, health is then. I just want
Mhm.
to be a fitter
Strong.
person, stronger
Yeah,
and fitter person.
yeah.
And I wrote the things down about why exercise is important for me rather than the lists of the
Mhm.
things that you always hear about.
General,
The
yeah.
top of the list for me was mobility. I want to
Mhm.
be, for as long as possible, as mobile as I can be.
Yep.
And if you don't add something into your life to make sure that that's going to happen, the likelihood is that it won't, because slowly you'll spend more time sitting in a chair, which means that your
Mhm.
muscle strength drops off. So mobility is really important to me. Capability. So I don't want to be the person that can't lift up that box, or
Mm.
that can't move this, or can't reach that because it's too high above, like
Right.
whatever. So that was the next thing. I want to feel younger and more involved. And I think,
Mhm.
seeing people around me as they get considerably older, the ones that are more active are the ones that can stay involved longer, and you feel
Mm.
more, young and active and happier. I want to be fitter for my heart health, because I think, whatever you
Mhm.
can do for better for that. I think it does help you with your controlling of your food. So not so much you were saying burning of the calories, but I think when your mood feels better because you've exercised, you start to make more informed and
Right.
sensible decisions about your food, don't you
Better
think?
cho better
If you're
choices.
lounging on the
Mhm. Oh,
sofa,
for yes.
that's when you start going grazing, or I
Mhm.
want this and I want that, and you think, oh well, I won't eat, as
Right.
healthy things. So I think, my list is quite long, but I think those are the top things for me that made such a difference.
Mhm.
And those are the reasons
And
why.
strength.
Strength, yeah, I just want to be a stronger, more able person,
Strength.
basically.
And it's oh my god, and it just makes you feel so good when something that you couldn't do or you couldn't do many reps of a couple of
Hmm.
months ago, Now suddenly you can do 100 of them 3 times, you
Yeah.
know? And but it just needs to start small. And that's, what I was talking about last night with my husband. Is like, why don't people like to do it? And that was why, because it's not instant
Well,
gratification.
that, and probably people think that they need to be one of those gym people straight away
Yeah,
and go,
no,
well,
you
I'm never going to
don't.
be able to do that. You just
No.
don't need to do that.
Uh-uh.
And I wrote down the word for me that all of this encapsulates is well-being. That's what you're
Yes.
doing. That's what you're working
Uh-huh.
towards. That's what I want.
Yeah.
This is not to be, maybe some people do, but this is not to be looking amazing in your lycra outfit and, all of that sort of thing. This is about improving your well-being. And there's a whole different agenda, isn't there, with how you then approach that.
Right. And that, I mean, it's how it's the mindset, because I think it's almost like a dirty word. But if people go into it thinking, well, this could be fun,
Mm.
there's so many different things on YouTube, like dance things as
Hmm.
well. That, it's again that not giving a fuck thing. Who
Yeah.
cares what anybody thinks? Or if you're just home alone. I know there's lots of people that have lost weight through doing like Zumba or doing dance things on
Hmm.
YouTube. I mean, I love to dance. I think it's
Yeah,
such a fun thing to,
it
and
is
it
good.
burns so many calories.
Hmm.
So, like joining a class at a, I don't know, at a gym or
Anything.
somewhere, or
Yeah.
just doing it on your putting your TV on and doing that makes a big difference. But just start small, definitely, I think.
And variety, I think, is a good thing, don't you think?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that maybe a walk one day, maybe a bike ride another day, maybe then a dance thing another day, then do some
Right.
weight stuff, even that's just your own body weight some one day, and then maybe
Mm-hmm.
go and do some action. It doesn't have to be, it depends. Some people like the routine of doing the same thing all the time. I
I
get that.
do the same. Yeah, I do
But
do that. But
it
then I
doesn't
mix it up
it doesn't
with
have to
other
be
things.
that. It's
No.
whatever suits. And if you introduce
Mm-hmm.
it as a natural part of your life, that's when you'll probably find it does get mixed up. And before you know it, you're doing all of these different forms of exercise without even classing it as being a regular dedicated exercise moment, if you see what I mean. It's just making your everyday way more an active lifestyle.
Did you hear somebody asked Arnold Schwarzenegger why he still works out? Like, you don't
Mm.
have to, you're not bodybuilding. And he said, well, why wouldn't I work out? It's just part of what I do every morning. I get up and I work out.
Hmm.
And I think, and he does it for fitness, and because I guess he
Hmm.
enjoys it.
Yeah.
And he looks phenomenal. I
Yeah,
don't know if you've
absolutely.
seen him lately. He just looks so good. Um, and I think that's part of it, is making it just part of what you do during the day.
Looking after yourself. Yeah.
And it's not that you just need to do it 21 times, it becomes a habit. That's crap. Apparently, you can do things. It takes between 2 and 250 times to do something for it to become a habit.
Whoa.
Yeah, apparently. This
Okay.
is new science, new study. But
Hmm.
anyway, but you know, just make it fun and be in the moment with it,
Yeah.
and not think, like I was saying, don't think I'm going to go and do it 40 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour.
Or just
Just
playing
go and
devil's
do it.
advocate. If you can't find yourself ever getting to the stage where you think I am enjoying it, the other side of that is going, okay, well then just swallow
Just
the bitter
do
pill and
it.
get it done anyway.
Right.
Just go,
Just
you
get
know
it
what? I know I've
done.
just got to go and do this for half an hour. I'll see you in half an hour.
Right.
Just go and get it done. That's the other way of looking at it and going, I
Uh-huh.
know I've got to do it, so I'm just going to get it done.
It's like going to the doctor for a pap smear and a mammogram. Nobody
Lovely.
wants to actually, I
No.
know, got that to look forward to. No, but it's not enjoyable, but you just got to go and get it done, and then
Yeah.
it's done.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it and it's buzzing around with you in your brain, it's just taking up space in there
Hmm.
all day.
Hmm.
Just go and quit with the excuses, because I think that's the reason. I mean, there's always going to be excuses.
Well,
I'm
you could
not
always
saying
put,
this, I'm saying it to everybody out there.
yeah, you can always put a
And I
reason
say
in
that to
front of it.
myself.
Hmm.
Like, just stop with the excuses. Just do it. Drop whatever it is that you're doing and just
Just
go
go
and
do
do
it.
it. Just
I
go and
do
do it.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay.
So we're
What
not going to
about
have any goal for this week, are we? Because we're going to record 2 episodes. I can't speak apparently. 2 episodes back to back today. So we're not going to have a goal for this one, I don't think. So we're just going to check in though with people, I think, aren't we, in future episodes, and just to perhaps come back to this and just sort of see how people are getting on with it, and just we can give a bit of an update on our own.
It's so important. I know you hear that 80% of losing weight is about what you put in your mouth. I don't disagree with that. But we're not just talking about weight loss. We're talking about your overall health and well-being, which is your body and your mind. You need to move your body. So, like I said, I do my exercise in the morning, and then I get other movement throughout the day, and I mix that up, like you were saying. Some days it's walking, some days it's riding, most days it's swimming, seeing I can at this time of year. But
Lucky.
just move.
Yeah.
We're going to check back in and make sure
Yeah,
everybody's
we will.
doing something about it. In the next episode, we are talking about mindfulness. So this is an interesting one. I'm just going to scroll down here because I don't even pretend to be able to just to read it off.
To remember.
To remember it. So many of us focus on things we didn't cross off the never-ending to-do list, like you were talking about earlier. We focus on the tasks that we need to do instead of focusing on what we're doing at that time, okay? So how do we train our brain to concentrate on the here and now? Mindfulness can have a profound positive impact for you, whether it's your business, your weight loss, relationships, and other aspects of your life. So please join us for that. If you head to lovoniandsarah.com, you will find show notes on previous episodes, recipes, and other helpful information. See notes below to connect with us on your favorite podcast platform and social media. Please follow and give us a subscribe and a thumbs up on YouTube. We'd really appreciate that.
We would.
Thank you so much for being part of our community. Until next episode, bye for now.
Bye.